have a crew today. It is awesome. I'm excited about this one. This is our fourth, I think, installment of, our multi-chain sessions, and this one's been about a month in planning. We wanted to start to highlight gaming, and so we wanted to bring in some of the teams that are building in the ecosystem, and so. Today we've got from Ignite Tournaments, we've got Crystal from Exiled Racers, we've got Ben from Moonsama and Exosama, we've got Donnie the Builder, and then from Seascape we've got David. So I want to go around to start off, let everybody kind of give a quick pitch, keep it to a minute if you can, around kind of what you guys are all up to. Let's start with Crystal.
Yeah, thanks so much, Nate. Really, really glad to be here. So, my name is Crystal. I am the CEO and co-founder of Ignite Tournaments. We are a play-to-earn tournament infrastructure provider that provides tournament functionality to any pre-existing game that doesn't have tournament architecture. So basically,
Crystal, I think you died out. Is anybody else having trouble hearing Crystal?
No, we can hear loud and clear. She's killing it.
Oh, okay. Do I need to repeat any of that, or should I continue?
No, I think it might have just been me. Sorry about that. Keep going.
Okay, yeah, sure. So, basically, what we're building right now is the world's first, the very first product we're building is the world's first play-to-earn esports tournament organization and streaming app for mobile games with payouts in both crypto and NFTs. So, basically, we can enable yield farming tournaments. And also with NFT prize pools, and these prize pools also include like sponsored tokens, which include our partner tokens. So any guild or game that integrates with us can actually have their tokens and their NFTs in our prize pools. So you can imagine, for example, if we were to integrate with Moonsama, having Moonsamas in the prize pool or something absolutely insane like that. So the very first product we're building is this mobile app, but we're also building like a web app in parallel so that we can support PCs. We're partnered with a huge amount of the major play to earn guilds out there, a lot of the major games as well, and we're backed by the likes of like YGG, A Sense of Assets, D1 Ventures. There's a lot of really big partners that we're going to be announcing very soon as well. And we have an alpha test that's actually launching on Moonbase Alpha next week, actually. And it's actually with 1,000 early community members who will actually be using our platform to test our products and build it with us. So it's a pretty exciting time. We're having games such as like PUBG Mobile, Call of Duty Mobile in this alpha. So it's something that we're very, very much looking forward to. So
nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, I want to hand it over to how about Ben? Do you want to take us through Exiled Racers?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Crystal. It sounds really exciting what you're working on. Well, thanks for having me today, team. I'm Ben, like Nate mentioned. I am one of the co-founders at EXR, or Exiled Racers. So thanks very much for having me. Exiled Racers is actually one of the first half fidelity NFT projects with a bonus racing manager, with some interesting prediction elements we've got going on there as well, built on Moonbeam. It's very much designed for time poor community phonetics, we're calling it, powered by what we also call a low-touch, high-reward game mechanic. We are currently in alpha with some pretty exciting stuff to come. And the quality of our NFTs has been designed by some of the world's best, which we're really excited to share over the next coming weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if anybody here has checked it out. You guys kind of came out of stealth last week with a bit of a teaser. Super interested to see kind of what you guys are building, and excited to see more. Let's go ahead, Ben.
No, I said absolutely. We've got some teasers actually coming out this week, so yeah, we'll be sure to share.
Nice. All right, let's hop over to Donnie. Donnie, I know you were early on Moonsama. I think you were the first NFT project on Moonriver, and so awesome to see that. And then you just recently announced Exosama and what you guys are going to be building, and even your own chain at some point, which is awesome. So you want to give folks a bit of a background on what you guys are up to?
Yeah, so I'm Donny. I'm guessing everyone in here probably knows who I am already. We're big supporters of Moonbeam and Moonriver, and one day decided, oh, let's build something on Moonriver. So within 3 days, we launched the first NFT marketplace and first tradable generative NFT collection. And then we decided to give them some utility and build a metaverse around it. We decided to go Minecraft first because I don't know, man, it's one of the best games around, and extensively moddable, very easy to sort of build within it. So we built the first actual metaverse on Dotsama. Then we built the first sort of NFT-backed metaverse land plots, and we've been having a lot of fun with that. It's been very popular, all-time high players every single week. But Moonbeam came along, and we're like, okay, let's do something innovative there. So we're going to be one of the first teams to implement the Remark 2.0 NFT standard, which means we'll have composable, multi-resourced NFTs where you can equip other items on and things like that. So we got a really talented character designer who's worked with Disney, Universal, Hasbro, Nickelodeon to come and sort of design them, which are the Exosamas themselves. These, what they are, they're cute waifus, I guess, but they're actually cybernetically enhanced bodyguards designed to sort of protect the city of Nova from this Xeon guy and whatever. But the main point is with the new collection is that these are going to be the multi-resource NFTs that we're going to demonstrate, innovative NFT use cases with. So, when we're playing in the Minecraft metaverse right now, and we're minting these weapons and things, we'll be able to equip those onto the Exosamas, not just use them in the sort of Minecraft metaverse. But also, we need to do something bigger with this. So we're actually working on our own metaverse where we can control every single line of code. So I think I've been talking about something called Battle for Nova that's going to be utilizing Moonbeam, which is my sort of own 2D meta RPG, and we're going to be showcasing some real cool stuff there when the countdown ends. And we're actually working on a 3D sort of first-person shooter at the same time. Once we've built like a really cool FPS that the communities can get involved with and play and have loads of fun, we're actually going to evolve that into a 3D metaverse itself. And yeah, we recently announced that we launched a parachain on the on the Polkadot testnet Rococo. And this isn't a case of us moving away from Moonbeam or Moonriver. All of our NFT economy resides on there still. It's just that we're going to be, utilizing that chain, and we're going to be testing some things out with our own chain, feeless transactions, things like that, which are really important for Web3 and bringing adoption. Your gamers and users, they shouldn't even know they're interacting with crypto in the first place. But Gavin Wood just announced like 10 minutes ago that they've enabled cross-chain transfers of NFTs. So we're going to have native NFTs moving around the Dotsama ecosystem, which is absolutely huge for us if we're going to go for a multi-parachain approach. That's my summary anyway.
Nice. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, we're excited to see that. I think for the whole Polkadot ecosystem, I think the interoperability piece is, that's why we're all building here, right? And so the fact that you're going to be building your own, metaverse where all these are going to be able to move around. I mean, I think that's awesome. It's just going to showcase all this interoperability between chains, which I'm certainly excited about. And so, last but not least, I want to bring in David from Seascape to give an update on what you guys are up to. You guys, David, I think we've known each other now for probably like a year and a half. I think it was when we first got engaged, and so I'm excited to see what you guys are going to be rolling out here relatively shortly. But I'll give you the floor.
Thank you, Nate, and thanks for that warm intro. And most importantly, thanks for putting on this event. Really cool to hear the stories of all the other founders in here. I'll give a brief intro about Seascape. Basically, we're building the game platform, and we're focused on making the infrastructure for DeFi and NFT gaming for the future. We've been doing this for the last 4 years. I started making my first blockchain game the moment basically I played CryptoKitties and the NFT was invented. So I've always been a big believer in the idea of combining crypto and NFTs with gaming. Seascape is really about building the tools and building the solutions so that other game devs can more easily implement NFTs, implement staking, implement smart contracts, liquidity staking, anything they want to do in the decentralized economy. Seascape wants to help them achieve it. Been a big fan of Polkadot since the start. And like you said, Nate, we started talking over a year ago, and always been a big believer in the vision of Moonriver and Moonbeam. So what we've been doing specifically on Moonriver is we've been deploying many of our mini games, which are very DeFi focused. So we have one game called Profit Circus, which is all about liquidity mining and how to integrate that into a game client interface and how to let users claim NFTs from that. We have also our other game, NFT Brawl, which is all about, you know, burning tokens and minting NFTs. And we also have finally the third game in that trio, which is Staking Saloon, where users take those NFTs they minted in the previous two games, stake them in combos, and win token rewards with specific bonuses if they get special combos. So all of these games have served as proof of concepts for what we're really trying to do, which is, of course, larger, more ambitious games. And super excited about taking all of that knowledge that we've amassed on Moonriver and putting it to use in Moonbeam, right? And this is what we're trying to do with Moonscape, which is, of course, a game we're developing in partnership with BitPunch, which is a really cool indie game studio based in Spain. Seascape is doing all of the backend, all of the blockchain infrastructure work along with BitPunch. And of course, we're partnered with the Moonbeam Foundation to really try to be at the cutting edge of play to earn gaming and make basically games that can scale.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you mentioned some of the mini games, and the way I look at those is it's kind of like it's an easier way for folks to kind of engage with DeFi, which is pretty cool, right? It's got some cool graphics up front, but you're not just staring at kind of pools and a DEX. You're looking at something where it's kind of taking you through, like, you got to have these assets and you can grab them here, but then it's just kind of I don't know, it's an easier way for folks to kind of get engaged. And so, yeah, absolutely excited to see what you guys continue to roll out. I think, Moonbeam is now 6 weeks old. And so I think we're still at the early stages of, what everybody's going to be building. And so super excited to get everybody together to talk about what you're up to and, help get exposure for some of the cool things being built in Moonbeam. So David, you actually mentioned the phrase play to earn. So just want to make sure we kind of clarify what that kind of means. And so Crystal, do you mind, giving your take on, what play to earn really means in this kind of ecosystem?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the fundamental idea of play to earn largely is due to the fact that traditionally in Web2 games, all of the value system, all the value goes from the gamer to the game publisher, where basically, the economy is not a circular one; it's just one directional, right? And but in the Web3 context, the idea is that there is a circular economy where gamers, by participating within the game economy, can earn certain rewards. And whether those rewards are NFTs or tokens or, some sort of yield, depending on the ecosystem, every ecosystem is different, of course. The fundamental takeaway is that gamers should also be able to like get some sort of value out of participating in the ecosystem and creating value within it as well. And this is especially important for a lot of like the esports, anything that's within esports. For people competing in it, even at like amateur levels. Especially in games where publishers don't even bother to like try and create any sort of monetization or real world value for gamers. So play to earn kind of turns all of this on its head, and there's a lot of different incredible projects coming out. Some of whom, actually, everybody who's on the stage really, who essentially what we're trying to do fundamentally is give back to the community and reward them for participating and supporting our ecosystem and our gaming projects.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, one of the cool things about what you guys are building is being able to kind of layer it on top of existing games so that, you're able to kind of tap into pretty much any ecosystem and now kind of provide this play to earn capability on top of whatever game it might be. So certainly, that's awesome. Ben, I know that, Exile Racers has kind of a different approach in terms of like it's not something that is, I think there's going to be like daily games, but it's really more of like a big tournament, whether it's once a week, once a month. I think that was the initial focus. Do you mind giving your take there?
Yeah, sure, thanks. And honestly, Crystal, that was a great answer, and I appreciate you bringing that up. I think for us at Exiled Racers, it's kind of, I think, taking a slightly different approach for play to earn, at least from a positioning standpoint. I think from a gaming standpoint, like I said, we're working towards a low touch, high reward game mechanic. So we made a conscious decision to move from the play to earn to a play and earn type of positioning, and this is quite important for us as we grow the game, just simply because there's a couple of reasons in why we've taken this approach, and I'll go through them real quick. So firstly, in our case, we want the earning part of Exiled Racers to be a bonus outcome of playing the game versus what sometimes feels like a bit of a task with some of the typical play-to-earn games. Secondly, EXR is a racing manager, and it's unique in that it's a companion. The gaming aspect is a companion or a bonus utility to the NFT holders, as I mentioned. And the game itself is very much used to keep our community engaged, just as much as it is to create some kind of earning and reward system. Thirdly, like I said, with our low touch, high reward gaming design, the way we've worked it, losing a typical race in the game seems to always earn you something. It might just be slightly less for a winner, for example. And finally, one of the biggest long-term focus of Exiled Racers, and one area I'm most excited about, is the community banter and excitement that comes along with competing against communities and groups. As you can see with the above, the earn aspect here, in our case, definitely becomes more of a bonus to playing the game. Hence the terminology we've decided to go along with, which is play and earn, if that makes sense, Nate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good clarification, and I think that was something that when we got introduced a while ago, that was something that kind of drew me to it, was this this kind of different take than I think what we'd seen out there. We always want to see some new and innovative stuff kind of going on Moonbeam, and that was one thing that I really liked about what you guys were building. So let's pivot into kind of like the gaming experience and kind of how folks are tackling it a bit differently. So, let's bring in David. You guys with Moonscape, you're building like the full game, right? And so talk about, why that's been a cool adventure, what challenges maybe it presents, and a little bit about Moonscape.
Well, games is always, I'd say, the most complicated art form out there, because you have all of the creative elements of that a graphic designer has to deal with, along with the sound and music direction that the best musicians in the world are struggling with, and along with, of course, extremely technical and difficult elements, especially when you're building a multiplayer game. And add on to that the complications with creating a smart contract driven game where not only a lot of things go wrong because blockchains have some issues that always need to be resolved, but also because at the end of the day, the users have real assets in these ecosystems, and you got to find ways, and you got to make 100% sure, of course, that the users' assets are all protected as well all the time. So I'd say the challenges have been many, but the enjoyments are also there, because at the end of the day, we want to create a world where the user wants to spend a lot of time in, right? And this is really what we've been doing with Moonscape. We're really working closely with the game dev BitPunch to create a world that was really inspired by the Moonbeam visuals. So, when we started talking about this game, we were talking closely, you and me, Nate, and we were thinking, okay, how can we make really a game that represents Moonbeam in the best way? And going from all of your graphic design and looking, okay, like cities on the moon, wouldn't it be really, really cool to have a city builder that's actually takes place on the moon, where things have gone haywire and humans left to colonize it are going to have to face a lot of challenges and work together in order to overcome them. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but in essence, we've just been trying to have a lot of fun with it and build the game in a way where, much like Ben mentioned, people can play the game, they can build their cities, they can fight aliens, they can fight each other, attack other cities, collect resources, have fun with the actual gaming. But at the same time, if they play the game well, if they manage their resources efficiently, if they put their resources to work in a good way, there's going to be a lot of earning opportunities. And of course, because it's all built with NFT assets and with tokenized assets, it's all liquid, which is obviously a very important part of this of these ecosystems.
Yeah, gotcha. So I want to bring Donnie in here. Donnie, with especially with the Moonsama game, you took kind of a different approach, which I thought was super innovative. In that you kind of looked at it and said, well, there's Microsoft has built this amazing game, right? We can just leverage that, but we can bring our NFTs into that world, and then you've kind of created other NFTs around that and made it super super engaging. I mean, how did you kind of come up with that? Like, what was the thought process around it? Was it just kind of like you fell into it, or was that always kind of where you had thought about taking Moonsama?
Well, the first thing I identified with the current metaverse landscape is that most of these metaverses are going to fail. They're essentially glorified chat rooms. You'll go in there, walk around for 5 minutes, get bored, then log off. You need something to do. You need some sort of progression system in the metaverse itself. And Minecraft has that. You mine stuff. You make a pickaxe and you mine more dense things. You get your diamonds, make your diamond armor, and run around and kill each other. That brings a lot of fruit and flavor to the metaverse itself. It keeps people engaged there. So yeah, we opted to do that route first because what's the point in spending 2 years trying to test something out and build an actual 3D metaverse from scratch when we can just take an existing successful recipe and do what you said, put our NFTs in there, but also have transfer digital assets off. So we've got a multiverse bridge, which allows the bi-directional movement of assets to and from the game or to and from any metaverse that we connect our bridge to. We don't want to connect to anything at the moment because Moonsama is doing so well. We've over, I think right now we have over $15 million TVL locked up in the multiverse bridge, which is absolutely ridiculous for a project with no marketing, no website, no tweets from the official account or anything. This is just pure engagement from the players themselves. Obviously, we'll be taking a different approach with the upcoming games, where because one thing is, some people, they don't really have desktop PCs to play Minecraft, but they want to be a Moonsama holder. They want to get involved with the community. So if we have a 2D metaverse, they'll be able to have fun there and everything. And there's some players that are desperately crying out for a first-person shooter like CS:GO, Call of Duty style. So we're going to create something there as well. One thing that people in the NFT landscape or the metaverse landscape itself haven't really realized yet is the importance of having your avatar being unique. So with NFTs, we're allowed to have these non-fungible tokens on chain that prove that you own a certain piece of artwork, a certain NFT, things like that. Well, imagine if you play a traditional game and you're walking around exploring the game world and you see players, when there's like a player customizer in the game and you can make yourself look like whoever, there's no real uniqueness. But if you play Moonsama and you walk around, you see another player, most of the time you'll recognize who that player is just based on the skin, and that's proven on chain. No one else can look like them, and I think that's the most exciting thing as well. So if we're able to create a global NFT item economy between metaverses, and you take your player, your unique avatar with you everywhere, or your unique $30,000 Hellfire sword into different games, I think this is the coolest thing in blockchain right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I did join the Moonsama, and it was one of the chaos sessions. I think you wanted to stress test the load probably like 2 or 3 months ago, and I hopped in, and it lived up to its name of chaos. I can call myself a bit of an old. I didn't know what I was doing. I just kept getting killed, but it was still fun nonetheless to kind of play around. But it was pretty amazing to just see the engagement that you've got kind of from the ecosystem, and how much folks are engaged to kind of play. So so that was kind of your approach to building the game, and obviously we'll see what kind of comes with Exosama. But Ben, you took a bit of a different approach, right? I think it was more like NFTs. Well, similar in some ways to what I think Donnie just talked about, but in terms of the game and the mechanics, it's much different. Do you mind taking us through a little bit about how your thought process around building the game and kind of what went into that, and what kind of matters for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. And may I just say, Donnie might be the most inspirational guy on this call right now. Every time I hear him speak, I can't wait to do so much more with the roadmap. So Donnie, firstly, appreciate all your stuff there, mate. So I guess for us, what we wanted to do very early on, it was a bit of a journey, Nate. We started off with the concept of, like I said, this low touch, high reward game kind of like a racing betting type game, very simplified. And we took that approach even from our creative style. And, we didn't really have a formal creative direction. And the team I'd built or put together was so strong in other aspects. By the time we got to the art, we just couldn't get to where we wanted to be, Nate. And, we very quickly learned that the quality we needed was elsewhere. And that's when we went hunting for some of the world's best. We just had to. We had no choice, especially since we wanted to turn this into an NFT first high fidelity project with, like I said, the bonus game that comes along with for the utility of these NFTs. And that's when I found the likes of Luke, Niels, and Sanju from the Studio Image team, who've worked on the likes of Samsung, Apple, Adidas, all the likes, and we were actually at the pub. That's not a word of a lie when I actually pitched the concept to these guys, and they happened to love it, and we decided as a co-founding group to make them equal partners. The next day, pretty much, we're like, guys, we'd love you to be on board as partners, and I can't tell you what the transformation was like once you start getting partners involved in your projects. It has an incredible difference in terms of the quality you get and the work you put out. Great creators like Luke, Niels, and Sanju, they just don't stop thinking about this stuff. It's something they live and breathe. It's like an obsession in the best ways possible. Just like some of the builders here, you can't stop thinking about how you get things done. From a tech standpoint, these guys are thinking about it from a creative standpoint, which has been incredibly helpful for us. Luke and Niels and Sanju actually came up and rebranded the entire EXR, brand when we first launched in a completely 360 worldview, which was massive. They do this type of stuff for massive clients like Samsung and Apple. And they built this retro futurism style, blending these 90s techno aesthetics with a much more elevated design, which as you can see is very interesting if you go and check us out. That's from music sets to in-world branding. I think we've got 10 to 11 brands in-world in EXR that these guys designed and developed that you'll actually be able to see on the different NFTs. It's an entire language, creatively, which is insane. And in terms of the game itself, Nate, we've created a racing manager, which is of course different to the traditional racing style games you'll see, in that it's all about the setup of your racing stack, we call, before the race actually happens. And unintentionally, this approach gave us a lot more room to really focus on the EXR NFTs. Design-wise, we've created everything based on the EXR universe rules, everything established in this overarching story with plenty of assets to make it feel much more real and rich. We feel our project is really unique and has a unique proposition, since it's bridging the high quality NFT artwork with this utility bonus in-game experience. And I think it's going to be exciting to see what happens in the future. Like I said, we've got some really exciting teasers coming in the next couple of days and weeks, so stay tuned.
Got it. No, I've seen the initial ones. I'm very excited to see more of what you guys continue to roll out. So obviously everything, the past three of, Donnie, David, and Ben, you guys are obviously focused on, crypto gaming. And so Crystal, I wanted to bring you in here to talk a little bit about how are the traditional games and the traditional gaming markets approaching this? Are they supporting it? Are they fighting it? And I think this kind of ties into how you guys kind of approach your clientele and who you're really talking to.
Yeah, of course. So in regards to traditional publishers, well, the very first big one that we really saw tried to step into the world of play to earn and NFTs was Ubisoft. And what they did was they basically came out with a whole bunch of NFTs, where it was they attempted rather to come out with NFTs for Ghost Recon, which is one of their titles. But the way that they did it was probably not the best approach, because they, instead of introducing it as a completely free giveaway sort of thing, instead what happened was I think it was first marketed as a sale. And that did not land very well with gamers, especially because, like, you know, the NFT, like the value of holding this NFT wasn't something that really would encourage gamers to truly want it, right? And so basically what happened was there was this immense backlash, like amongst traditional gamers in particular, you know, the entire really gaming community as a whole, that kind of just sort of spiraled out of control. And then we kind of saw this cascade with, like, you know, Riot Games, you know, who produces like League of Legends, you know, Teamfight Tactics, Valorant, so on and so forth, where they actually had this like piece of artwork that came out featuring one of their characters standing in front of this gallery that featured a piece of art from another, from like an NFT artist, essentially, right? And the community pretty much freaked out. So right now, because there's kind of like this negative narrative among what NFTs are and how they work within traditional gaming, traditional game publishers are treading very carefully. They kind of understand what the actual value proposition is. Like, there's a lot of analysts and researchers who, some of whom, like, we actually have been speaking with in some of the biggest game studios out there. But basically, the general takeaway is that it is too soon, too early, and there may for them to really venture heavily into this space due to like the sort of bad flack that NFTs presently have like in the media. And so this is something that, you know, we are discovering amongst a lot of traditional major game publishers. Now, there are some that are willing to take more risks, especially like indie studios and mobile gamers, mobile games in general. There is like one game that actually started off as a fully like traditional game called League of Kingdoms, who then transformed 100% into a play-to-earn game. You know, with their own token economy and NFTs and everything. So there are some like indie publishers that are actually willing to take larger risks. It's just like that the major AAA studios are trying to be a little bit more careful, with the exception of Ubisoft, who is incredibly bullish on NFTs and has this very aggressive approach. So that's basically how traditional publishers are more or less taking it. Now, you know, with Ignite, you know, the way that we are building our play to earn model has a lot to, and the way the entire product came about has a lot to do with the fact that, you know, I actually previously was the #1 defensive player in the world in Final Fantasy 15, A New Empire, which is like this mobile strategy war game. And like I spent 2 years competing at the highest levels in this game for what were essentially like really crappy in-game items that had zero real world value. So as somebody who was spending all her time and energy fighting for things that gave me no value back, I felt very strongly that we needed to create something that could create value for gamers. And, you know, initially I just was like, all right, well, guys, like, let's just compete for, you know, a tournament. Let's just create a tournament for real money. But I discovered that there actually is no app in the world, like a mobile app, that allows you to create tournaments with something of real world value for mobile games. It's just not something that exists. And so basically, Ignite came about due to that fact. And so, you know, we created this platform where basically not only can we turn any pre-existing traditional game into a play-to-earn game through a fully non-integrated manner, such as like games such as like Call of Duty Mobile, for example, but we actually, with like existing play-to-earn games that don't like have a tournament infrastructure, we can just add an additional value layer on top. And it pretty much allows gamers to play to earn in 2 ecosystems simultaneously, which effectively doubles their play to earn rewards. Kind of like credit card reward stacking or point stacking, whatever you want to call it. But in this case, it's more like play to earn reward stacking. And so the way it works is that you pay for our tournaments. We have free tournaments, which are supported by ads, or we have something called yield farming tournaments, where basically you stake your entry fees on chain in a yield farming prize pool that is generated specifically for that tournament. And for the entire duration of the lockup period, which is from the moment you register until the conclusion of the tournament, you're yield farming for more of our token, which is called Tanka. And you're also competing for a one-of-a-kind unique NFT, which is generated on chain for every single tournament. just like Donnie, we are going to be using the RMRK 2.0 standard for all of our NFTs, which we're also very excited about helping to contribute to. And, we also will allow gamers to compete for sponsored NFTs, which pretty much any EVM-compatible NFT can be staked in this prize pool, and sponsor tokens, which include both Tenka and any of our partners' tokens as well. So you can imagine a world where, you're competing in, Moonsama. I'll just say Moonsama since that's the easiest one I can think of right now. With, and you're swapping for Tenka, and you actually are also competing for the actual NFT Moonsamas, and in the prize pool is also the token Moonsama. So it's like multiple levels of earning. And so, yeah, basically that's like how our play to earn works within Ignite, and also how traditional publishers kind of handle everything. Sorry, that was really
gotcha. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's all good info. I mean, I think the crux of it is kind of putting the power back in the players' hands, which is always awesome to see, especially with Web3 across the board. It's about kind of putting the power back into the people's hands. So happy to have you expand on that a little bit as you were kind of going through. So now, when it comes to like audience, David, I wanted to kick this over to you. Like, who are you guys focusing on? Are you trying to bring over folks from some of the other places you've deployed, or is it new players? Is it mobile gamers? What do you think like the impetus for or not the impetus, but what do you think the real driver behind the audience on something like Moonscape or even the mini games is?
Well, this is really like the eternal question in DeFi or play to earn gaming in general is who are we making this for? And a lot of this has to do with onboarding and infrastructure, right? Because if you're making a DeFi game like the ones we've made so far, such as Profit Circus or NFT Brawl, you need to get MetaMask, you need to get tokens, most likely from a centralized exchange. You need to withdraw a gas token, you need to withdraw the main token, you need to make sure that you're connected the right way, that you give a contract approval, and at every step for the users there's uncertainties, and if they try to get help from a Telegram or a Discord, there's going to be 30 scammers trying to steal their money some other way. So I do think that's the biggest issue in crypto gaming in general, is the onboarding process, and long term that's absolutely our core focus, is to make the onboarding process as smooth as possible, as efficient as possible, and also as enjoyable as possible. Because in the end, the user who joins a game, who either sees an ad or hears it from someone, or if he gets the link from a friend, they just want to click on it and start playing and start having fun. And this is something that we're definitely putting a lot of focus on with Moonscape. The game is built both for mobile and for desktop web browsers. And the idea here is really, let's create a fun game. You can basically get your free NFT rover right away. You don't need a wallet. You'll just claim your NFT once you're ready to go, but you can start playing without a wallet. You can start, roving around the moon, start extracting resources, build out your cities. And whenever you feel ready, okay, now I understand that this resource can be turned into something tokenized, whether an NFT or an actual token. At that point, we get them into the decentralized ecosystem, so to say. So to answer your question, I really do think that onboarding has to be short-term and long-term really the main thing we focus on, because that's going to be the only way we're going to be able to reach people outside of the play-to-earn and DeFi ecosystem.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And Ben, I wanted to bring you in here. I mean, I think when we first started chatting, you were going to have kind of like at least to start, kind of a word of mouth, right? You guys have been building Exiled Racers for 6 months now, and just coming out of stealth, I think you were taking a bit of different approach in terms of kind of a FOMO Club feel. Do you mind taking folks kind of through your strategy on that front?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, when we first started the game, we definitely loved the concept that we've seen getting around of a non-traditional NFT project that wasn't like 20,000 NFTs and you just go out and spam the market, and as well as the idea of deep community engagement. And this stemmed from I'm actually in, I think I've told a few people on this, in what's called a pun club in Australia, where you have a group of, friends that are constantly betting or getting together and coming up with big bets throughout the week or whatever it is. And the community aspect of that was so important to us. We've got a small club that is so incredibly, fun to be around, and we wanted to bring that type of experience to an NFT game, which is a big reason why an Exiled Racers, strategy and structure came to be. And that's exactly right, Nate. It's this club culture we're trying to create where you feel like you're part of this community, because, we think that there's this world that we live in now where there's just not enough time to do all the stuff you want to do. And especially the gamers in the room, you find you don't have enough time to do all the stuff that you used to do as a kid, like gaming and having fun and embracing your mates and getting competitive. And, we wanted to create a space that's kind of low touch and allows you to be in that place without feeling like you don't know anyone anywhere in here. And, that's super important. I think people miss that community aspect and being able to feel like they can drop in and out without having to worry that they haven't spent years grinding down and learning and staying so deeply involved in like the game dynamics and all the, the crazy aspects to some of the games that are out there. It's a long-winded way of answering your question, Nate, but I hope I've done so.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And I think the community aspect's huge. And Donnie, before you were Donnie the Builder, AKA Donnie Big Bags from the past. I mean, I think I'd love to hear your take on, building community. How you've been successful, just getting. I mean, the following that Moonsama and Exosama has right now is pretty amazing. Are there any tips or tricks or anything you can share with folks? I mean, in terms of just getting people excited about the NFTs you're creating and kind of the game piece.
Yeah, so I think the most important thing is don't dump on your community. Like with us, we haven't sold a single Moonsama, and I've been known to be buying them off the market myself. That sends a real good sort of signal of confidence to your community. You've always got to include them in decisions. I spend a lot of time on Telegram every single day. And listen to community feedback, implement it as fast as possible, but more importantly than anything, everything you say you're going to do, you have to do it. Another thing that I'd imagine inspires a lot of confidence is if you see me on Twitter, we're absolutely blasting out updates, alpha, very transparent about the crafting process when we're working on projects, and the community sort of seems to love that as well. But when you've got that, when you've got the recipe for a solid community around your project, then the fireworks start. Then you don't need any marketing. You don't need to pay any influencers or pay for PR companies to put out press releases anywhere. You don't need to do any shady marketing tricks. With us, for example, we've intentionally not done any marketing, made everything look crap. Tried not to get more people in. But the player numbers keep exploding, and even though our sort of game on a Sunday, this Carnage session is gated at like $70,000 or something ridiculous right now. Or if you get a VIP ticket, which is cheaper, but it's over $15 million bridged over of players who want to get involved in the game, and that's. I think you can't, but the problem is if you want to do gaming at scale and bring thousands of people in, you'll lose that community vibe. You won't really know everyone. Once that's every scaling sort of game metaverse project, they're going to face the same fate. It's going to get too big, and the sense of community is just going to drift off into the night unless you find a way to segregate your sort of OG holders from the new ones. So whilst I think we've done a great job already, I understand the challenges that lie ahead of us, and it's just going to get harder.
Yeah, I mean, well said. I think the community obviously is the thing that I think every project, whether it's gaming, whether it's NFT, whether it's DeFi, I mean, I think that's the piece that becomes more and more it just becomes more and more visible in terms of like the folks who can really build this organic community of folks that really want to be there and spend time and play or trade, whatever it is. I think those are the folks that ultimately can weather a bear market and things along those lines. So I wanted to shift in terms of a little bit into like deployment stuff. So Crystal, how did you decide where you wanted to deploy? Obviously, you're coming to Moonbeam. Like, how did you choose Moonbeam? And give us a little background there.
Yeah, so when we first started, building Ignite, and we were trying to figure out where we would build within the big world of Web3, we very quickly centered upon Polkadot, since like the Polkadot ecosystem as a whole. Since obviously, our Marquet is building in there. We also really saw that we really loved the whole vision of interoperability, cross-chain compatibility, and cross-chain interoperability as well, and just everything about the general Polkadot ethos. With projects working together with projects, even though they're ostensibly like competitors, just like this really incredible feeling of kind of being just like building this incredible future together, right? And so we knew we wanted to be in the Polkadot ecosystem, the Dotsama ecosystem, really. And so from there, we were like, okay, well, maybe let's build a parachain. So we first started out thinking that was how we would go about with things. And then it became very apparent that it didn't make sense for us to do that immediately out of the gates. A parachain is something that we may build in the future, but not something we would do immediately. And so, from there, it was deciding, okay, of the different parachains and projects that exist within Dotsama, which one makes the most sense for us to partner with and collaborate with. And, it very pretty much instantly, it was Moonbeam and Moonriver were the ones that stood out. From there, everything from the fact that it's EVM-compatible, which essentially would make us compatible with virtually over 90% of all gaming projects that presently exist, and also give us a lot of ability to potentially even perform multi-chain deployments in the future. And the support we've received from within Moonbeam itself, just all of that, is why we chose the Moonriver and Moonbeam ecosystem. And in terms of how we are deploying, it's probably a little bit different than some other projects. So basically, we have this alpha test that's coming up that I previously alluded to with 1,000 community members. And, Donnie was talking just now a lot about the importance of community and empowering the community. And, we here at Ignite really, truly believe that as well. To the point that this alpha test is actually, it's a little bit crazy because it's actually this 3 to 4 month test period, which is also a build period, where basically because Tenka, our token, is governed by a DAO, we essentially decided that we want to kind of build with our DAO as opposed to just building a product for people and then, assuming that that's just what they want, right? So what we're doing is we're actually, launching first on Moonbase Alpha, with onboarding 1,000 early community members, which include guilds, major guilds, some of whom haven't announced just yet, so can't really say who they are. But some of them include Rainmaker Games, for example, as well as some significant game partners who's all of them are part of our community. And so the idea is that because this is our community, they are effectively our DAO. We're going to be rolling out features one by one, and then they'll provide us with feedback. And in response to the feedback, we then actually will iterate upon that and refine the product so that we're building for the community. And the community also feels like, they actually have skin in the game and that they actually help to build our product with us, right? So we really wanted to kind of capture that feeling of this creating this Web3 tournament platform with the DAO, as opposed to just throwing a product at them and hoping it sticks, right? And so the way that we're actually empowering them is we're actually creating this. So we're creating 1,000 wallets with 1,000 test Tenka, and then you just compete in 6 different games, which include PUBG Mobile, Call of Duty Mobile, Arena of Valor, League of Legends Wild Rift, Garena, Free Fire, and Hearthstone. which are, all traditional Web2 games. But because we work with games that are not integrated, we technically can just, use these games within our alpha. And then assuming that people are able to accumulate, our community is able to accumulate Tenka during the course of alpha, by the time our token launches, we're able to then perform a swap for however much Tenka they actually manage to accrue through true skill-based tournaments. And actually just being good at competing in the game, right? And so this is how we're like rewarding and building with the community. And then once we actually complete alpha and everything is, like we have like a decently stable build. At that point, we would then want to launch our beta product, which is a public beta with like, it starts with like 10,000 users and it scales, very, very high on Moonriver. And then through Moonriver, we're then going to work on like much more advanced features. Like we have streaming, for example. We have, guild creation and guild management systems, and the ability for guilds to create large-scale guild versus guild tournaments on a very global level against one another. Some of these features we'd probably test in beta on Moonriver, and then scale that. And then once we complete beta testing, have a very, very stable build, and all of our code is audited. At that point, we will then launch onto Moonbeam with Ignite 1.0. So it's actually a very long development roadmap. All along, we are building with our community, involving our community every step of the way. We're very passionate about, like taking community feedback and working with our community, because they're a huge part of our ecosystem. And without them, we just like wouldn't exist as a project. So yeah, that's the deployment strategy, I suppose.
Cool. Well, just being cognizant of time with 8 minutes left, I want to make sure you guys each get a chance to kind of get the platform again. Any asks that you might have, any updates on roadmap, timeline. I'd love to give you guys each, kind of 2 minutes here to talk to the community, get people excited. Let's start with David. In terms of what updates can you share? What should people be on the looking for? How can they get in touch or get engaged with what you guys are building?
Yeah, so Seascape, as always, as full steam ahead. We're going to keep working on our NFT marketplace, the Scape store, with a lot of new NFT launches. We're working with about 6 different games right now. Moonscape, of course, being one of the big ones, but we have several other very high quality games that are in development at the moment. A few of them will be hitting Lighthouse, which is our Seascape launchpad, which is deployed on Moonriver, but very likely coming out on Moonbeam. But yeah, I'd say for the Moonbeam ecosystem, definitely Moonscape's going to be a big one. It's our biggest game by far to date, and we're really looking forward to showing the Moonbeam community the power of a game like this.
Awesome. Ben, do you mind jumping in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are actually in the NFT drop phase for our project. So there's some really exciting teasers, like I said, coming out this week. You'll be able to see. We're in alpha, and we've got a couple of really exciting metrics coming out of that. And in the coming months, you'll start to see that being pushed out to beta, and we're going to have a bunch of really exciting tournament-style racing games that will be able to involve all different kinds of communities. And we're looking forward to that.
All right, Donnie, floor is yours.
I don't know what to say, really. There's a lot of things coming right now. You have to, and we don't set roadmaps because it slows you down. We try to outbuild everyone. But there's going to be a massive sort of announcement in April. This basically implementing some Metaverse item, should we say, that's cross-project with another big project that we kind of forced to deploy on Moonbeam that no one knows about yet. There's lots of fun things going around. So if you want to get involved in Moonsama, you can hopefully wait for a dip and get in Moonsama, because there's going to be a lot coming for them with the Exosama airdrops that they get, parachain token airdrop if that happens this year. And also that big April thing or whatever. But I think with Crystal from Ignite, we're going to be putting on some sort of esports tournaments as well, which the community have been absolutely begging for, and I'm really excited for that. And then stay tuned for Exosama in March. And when that countdown ends on battlefornova.com, expect to see some cool stuff revealed.
Gotcha. And Crystal, I mean, you kind of took us through a bit of your roadmap, but any closing thoughts? Anything you want to make sure folks knew about?
I mean, basically, like the roadmap that I kind of the deployment and everything that I kind of just explained is more or less our actual roadmap itself. But to Donnie's point, we are very excited about partnering with ecosystem projects such as Moonsama. I believe David, we had the chat, like some months ago about potential partnership as well. Basically, we will partner with literally any game as long as there's PvP, we are all about that. So, if you are a game developer or publisher, or even like if you're building a guild, we would love to hear from you since, we're very big on Web3 ecosystem collaboration.
Awesome. Well, I think, like I said, this is the fourth edition of multi-chain sessions that we've done. And I would say that I think this doubled how many folks we had in the past few, which is awesome. And I think speaks to, the interest around gaming, NFTs, what's being built on in the Moonbeam ecosystem. So awesome to have everybody here today. Thanks everyone for joining. Hope everybody learned something new. And we'll talk to you again, hopefully next week.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks for organizing.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. See you guys. Bye.